Thank you all for being here on again, a beautiful sunny day out there. So what we hope to do is show you some of our incredible investigators today, and the whole point here is to try to stimulate, as Dr. Lloyd-Jones said, try to stimulate further collaborations. Simply put, we are sitting on mountains of data that have been generated over 78 years in the Framingham Heart Study, and we can't even imagine all the applications that could be, that could come out of those data. So you'll see today some of the incredible imagination of our investigators and what they're doing with the data. I'm sure you'll think of your own things that we'd love to collaborate with you on as well. Okay, so what is the Framingham Heart Study? Well, it started in 1978, and as you may well know, it's the longest running and most famous study of its kind in the world at this point. And I don't think there's any argument about that. Why was it started? Well, after World War II, there was this epidemic of chronic diseases, but particularly cardiovascular diseases, and 44% of Americans were dying from heart disease, and it wasn't really understood why. And so you see here some of the questions that led to the development of this study. There's a long history about why it was cited in Framingham, but it turned out to be absolutely the perfect place to cite this and the perfect place to conduct a study like this. Let me just make sure. Yeah. So what you may also know about Framingham is it is the study that defined the major risk factors, what we now call the traditional risk factors for cardiovascular disease: blood lipids, blood pressure, diabetes, smoking, adverse diet, sedentary lifestyle. All those things that we now take for granted and are really the bedrock of prevention in clinical practice were actually discovered because of the dedication of the Framingham participants. Okay, so the design is, as you see here, initially enrolled about 20% of the citizens of the town of Framingham in 1948. Admittedly, those were almost exclusively European ancestry individuals at the start, but importantly, there's quite a bit of diversity in the socioeconomic status of those individuals from the beginning. Very importantly, always more women than men in the Framingham Heart Study cohorts, and that has really been a strength, I think, of the study over time. The design also includes families, and as you'll see, 3 generations of individuals. Also incredibly powerful for look at heritability, for propensity to different diseases, and really set up our ability to do genetic research because we have these 3 generations of related individuals. They've had repeated examinations every 2 to 5 years with core measurements plus ancillary science, and you'll hear from a lot of our ancillary study investigators today. And we follow up for their medical history annually and adjudicate those events very carefully. So if somebody had a heart attack under observation in Framingham, they really had a heart attack. And as you'll see, we also have just extensive amounts of data and a biorepository that includes more than 2 million biosamples. So these are what the cohorts look like. We actually have 6 different cohorts, 15,000 individuals, 6,300 of whom are still alive and under observation. About 2/3 of whom still live in the New England area, but they still come back even if they live in Florida and California routinely for their examinations, which is quite a remarkable statement. This is a bit of a complex diagram, but it shows you the different measurements that have been made in the 3 different cohorts of related individuals over time. So on the left, you see the cardiovascular measurements that have been made, but it doesn't stop there. This is really a study of aging now, because we've looked at essentially every organ system in the body and how it progresses and changes with aging over time in the same individuals. And that's obviously a huge strength of the study. Some of the newer things that we're able to do because of our biorepository is we have extensive amounts of repeated measurements of different omics. So genomics, transcriptomics, epigenetics, proteomics, metabolomics, and even some microbiomics and other omics as well. So this is, I think, a real opportunity for collaboration with people like you. The seminal contributions are listed here. Again, suffice to say, Framingham changed the world by defining many of the risk factors we now understand for chronic disease and allowed for the development of preventive interventions, not just pharmaceuticals, but also other types of interventions that really have changed our lives and saved the lives of millions more. So if you would like to learn more, that is our website. Pretty straightforward, shouldn't be any surprises there. This is what it looks like. There is a page specifically for researchers that provides a lot of resources to teach you how to engage with us, but please don't hesitate to use the email, and one of our staff will connect you to somebody relevant to your questions. And then you also see here that the staff that's on the left when President Gilliam visited with us about a year ago, and then some of the really wonderful people who make this study go. So very much look forward to introducing you to our incredible cadre of investigators today, and thank you so much for being here.